All right. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Ray, and this is
Antoinette Cabral.
So today's live broadcast is going to be about removing blocks from your feminine sensuality. And if you have questions, feel free to send them. We also have had some questions come in before this webinar started. And before we even begin, what I'd like to do is just kind of center everyone here. And would you like to do a little guided meditation, little one? And I can play some music in the background?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Here we go here. Hopefully it's not too loud. Here we go. I'm going to be the DJ. So while you're doing a meditation, I'm going to be getting down.
Okay. So I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, releasing any tension from your body out through your legs, all the way down to your feet. Take another deep breath in. Any tension that you're feeling in your body, locate where it is. Feel it relax, breathe into it. Exhaling, grounding into your body, feeling the energy go all the way down into your feet, all the way down into the earth. We'll do that one more time. Another deep breath in. Exhaling. And when you're in this relaxed state, feel your heart open like a flower to be present and open to this amazing information that Dr. Ray and I are going to be sharing with you today. So your heart's open like a flower. You're ready to receive the juicy, feminine, sensual energy today. You can open up your eyes. Yeah.
I'm going to actually close the window here a little bit here so you can smile.
Smile. Be present. And the smile is inviting us to connect to you. So, hello.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for that. Where I'm at, they're homeless people, and sometimes they have a tendency to yell really loud, so if that was what's going on, I need to close the window. So I have to read something before we start this also. My social media person, Jennifer, hi Jennifer, told me to say, basically, if anyone's tweeting right now, say hashtag Dr. Ray. Again, hashtag Dr. Ray. Just like that. See, I got it, Jennifer. Are you happy now? There you go. So let's talk about feminine sensuality and also blocks. And I think it's very important to address that for a woman or a girl, there are so many mixed messages that come up when a woman's going through, a girl going through her puberty, finding out about herself, seeing what's in the media, and having sex for the first time. What was your experience like going through that?
For me,
yes.
Waking up as a woman, I was actually really closed off. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel safe being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the environment that I grew up in. And me not feeling safe being a woman, not learning how to love my body, created my own inner blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't have people around me that, either the women were using their sexuality to get attention, which I also
Mm-hmm.
did, or women would close themselves off. So there wasn't a good experience for me growing up to see, like, what is a healthy, vibrant, open woman look like?
Mm-hmm.
And, does she connect to her body? So I really didn't. So this one holds really close to my heart because this is a process that I had to go through myself.
And when you first were, say, with a man versus now, what's the shift as far as since you've learned how to connect your body, breathe in your body more, and let go?
Sure. My first one was I was so afraid. I was so, maybe I'm the extreme, but I was so afraid to open up.
Mm-hmm.
I was so afraid. I was so closed off. My heart was closed off. I had all these blocks that were in my, sensuality center and my power center. and that closed me off, and I call them body blocks. So like just put like this, your fist like this, and we'll carry these knots, and when we carry them like in this area of the body, that's where I was holding, and I was actually really closed off sexually. It was very painful for me, and lovemaking, I would be crying, it was really painful.
So to the extreme, you actually felt pain.
I've actually felt physical pain. So that was my first experience, and I didn't want to be vulnerable because I was so closed off. It's like I didn't love my body, and I didn't want to be vulnerable in that way. And my body was closed off because of the trauma that I was experiencing growing up. So because I held all that trauma, and through some of the processes and what we're going to be sharing with you today, I opened up. And so it's a lot different for me because I've been able to experience my own pleasure in my own body and the opening. Releasing those blocks, releasing the shame, releasing the guilt, releasing, the lack of self-love, the doubt, and been able to tap into my own core radiance and feeling the body bliss, my own pleasure as a woman. That has opened me up, and I've given that to myself first and opened up my heart to love. And so lovemaking is by far a lot different because I've been able to open up to my own self.
Let's talk about, we were talking about lovemaking, but actually a lot of this has to do with just a woman's sensuality. For example, regardless, we're talking about the act of sex itself. I think what we're talking about is actually your way of being in a world. In other words, if a woman is uncomfortable with her sensuality, the way that she might put herself out there in the world might be closed off. When she's communicating to a man, she might be curtailing how she's communicating because she is afraid that she'll be seen as a sexual object, or she's afraid that she's going to lead a person on. Maybe a past violation led to something that was very uncomfortable. How about you? Because I imagine because you had so many mixed messages, and that is where you're one extreme you're taught how to be like sexy and putting yourself out there, and to the other extreme it's like being like the Virgin, being the Madonna. So what was that like?
What was that like to me?
Yeah, just those mixed messages, basically.
It was definitely confusing on my end because I didn't know what to do. I grew up in a Catholic. I went to a private school, and so when you're saying the puritanical Madonna, I had that, and then also for me to get attention, and I know a lot of women, we've been taught to use our sexuality to get attention. I did that as well. So I would use my own sexuality when I was younger because I didn't have the own self-love. I would use my sexuality to get the attention. That was what I was taught. And so, and then I would have that conflict within myself. I need to be pure. And then the other one was, okay, I need to use my sexuality to get attention in order for me to feel loved.
Right now, Tisha. There we go. All right, thank you.
So, yes, I was, you're a dork. So, I got, I would use this, like I would use my sexuality, like, hey, I need to be, I need something from you. And I know women, we do that. In order for us to get something from the opposite sex, we use our sexuality. It's
a survival mechanism. I think it's just innate because the reality is that if you didn't attract a mate, you'd probably go hungry. Men would go out there and hunt for their mates.
Yes.
And in our culture now, it's where, maybe the man will be the provider or something else. Which has changed a lot. Maybe we'll lead into this talk also, is whereas women are now working, so they don't need the man to do that, which gives men mixed messages. They don't know where they fit in all of that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what are your thoughts about, women using their sexuality to get attention?
What's funny about this is that a lot of, I think, women actually, when they think of their sensuality, their sexuality, that they're always seen as more like being an adult, and where it's a very more sexual thing. Whereas also when you're a little girl and you maybe scratched your dad's car or you broke something, you'll look at your father and like, sorry, daddy. You'll have this very playful look. Also, you'll try to get attention. So again, when a woman tries to connect to her sensuality, it's a lot of times it's always connected to more the sexual aspects. I think it's very important to realize is like how a woman can be playful,
Mm-hmm.
and where it has very little to do with sex
Absolutely.
at all. And you as a little girl, did you do it also? You're kind of like more playful, yet you weren't thinking of like your genitals. You weren't thinking about being a sexual creature, but yet you like the attention of your father. You like the attention of men, like
Yes.
a man. Just as far as look at me, I'm vibrant.
Uh-huh.
I'm gorgeous. I'm a little girl.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't change a whole lot, does it?
No,
Yeah.
no. So are you saying that that same playful energy is what you would call sensuality?
Yeah, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah, and you've seen this, and you'll see this with women. Even my mother. My mother's 77 years old, and she has this very sensual way of carrying herself. She's very playful. She could be a brat sometimes too, and it's adorable. And I don't know if my parents are having sex anymore. I don't know, but she definitely could. You know, she likes to get into trouble a little bit with my dad, and I'll hear them bicker and stuff. But she's 77. She's moving around. She dances. She performs. She's still alive. She's still alive. And so, as children, you enter this planet with all this chi and all this excitement and this playful energy. And as you get older, it can still be there, even if your faculties are not all working anymore. Meaning that you're not having sex anymore.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think also when you, because I view sensuality as that as well.
Yeah.
So when you're able to tap into that inner core, all of those beliefs that we've, all the shame, the doubt, the worry, that we hold on to, but when we release that, what is the core is our childlike innocence.
Yeah.
And that playing, it's like, oh, look at that, or, enjoying the senses, or laughing, or playing and having fun, and that, or, looking at the flower, or, watching that sunset and just feeling your heart open and really embracing that. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, by the way, if you see my eye going over here or there, we don't have anyone helping us out here. So I'm in a captain's ship here. So let's move forward to like actually answering some of the questions or topics that we're going to cover, and we'll also answer. We did have some questions come through. Let's first answer the first topic, and that is: do you feel satisfied with your sex life, or believe that you could experience something deeper and meaningful? And I like to answer that first, and that is my experience with women who are really comfortable in their body. Those are the ones who rock my freaking world. I mean, it's like where they take me on a journey. The way that I see kind of masculine energy and feminine energy, the man, if he's present, if he's clear with kind of connecting to her heart, and he's wanting to penetrate her, both literally and figuratively speaking, that he's able to kind of take her on a journey to some place that maybe she's never gone before. Hey, this sounds like a Star Trek. Anyway, and for the woman, it's like her bringing the fullness, the aliveness. I mean, there's nothing more enticing and intriguing than a woman moaning, making noises. And it doesn't mean you have to like go over the top like Meg Ryan and whatever. I forgot that movie that was. Was it something?
When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, okay, which was pretty awesome anyway. But it's more that energy makes a man want to keep going. It's also the sounds that actually will make a man maybe ejaculate too quickly. But those sounds are so alluring, and it's so exciting for me as a man. And if a woman is just so afraid of just opening up and expressing herself, then I imagine even how she communicates in the bedroom, that she's not really able just to let go in her body and just have those like expanded orgasms.
Yes, absolutely.
You want to talk about expanded orgasms?
That's very juicy. So for women, I mean, some of the blocks that would come up for that would be, her lack of acceptance of her body. I've had that, and my clients have had that. So it's definitely, when you can move past that and step into, just really loving yourself and accepting yourself and being okay with, all the different curves and the textures, and using your body as like a celebration, like just really celebrating. Yes, it's a process. And yes, it's just about accepting yourself in the moment. But when you can, like you said, and you're able to enjoy your body and the different textures, of course the man is going to enjoy the different textures of your own body.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one way to really do that is, like, let's say you're taking a shower, feeling, connecting,
Mm-hmm.
like just feeling like the pleasure of, you know, your own shower, your own skin.
Can
being
you
grateful.
can you share some, because we're trying to give some like tools here, would that be one way that you kind of connect to your sensual self by taking a shower?
Sure. A bath, a shower, even after the bath. It's like I'm, you know, out, like during the bath, like, hey, I have this like really nice the loofah and this body body wash that I use, and it feels good.
I got some of those too. I'm kidding.
It feels really good, and it's just like, here's this little ritual to connect to my own body. I feel my skin.
Wow, she's telling the truth. How about that? You know, I think it's very important too to express here on this webinar is I think like most women, when they're really getting ready to go out or be sexual essential, it's like for a man, it's to be on a date. Whereas, how often do women actually just do that for themselves, for the sake of doing it for themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to music, having a date with themselves, having a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah. Having a glass of wine, creating like a ritual or a celebration for you. So yes, in the shower, bringing in candles. I do that. Bring in the candles to the shower. Bring in music. Feel your skin. Celebrate your skin. Celebrate your body. Breathe into it. If you're not feeling comfortable, look at yourself. Breathe in. Smile. Open up your heart. And then do something that's going to feel good. Or maybe even coming out of the shower, it's like, ooh, like, how am I going to celebrate myself even more? Like, I put this really nice coconut oil and maybe dance while I'm putting on the oil, celebrating, ooh, this feels good. This is for me. Right. And I'm going to share this with you. The more that you feel pleasure in your own body and you're feeling this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling the pleasure and you're expressing because you're feeling comfortable. And just like Ray Doctor said, you're in your body, you're expressing your own pleasure in your own body, and then you take that on into lovemaking.
Absolutely. Because the way, if you know how you like to be touched, you know how to teach your partner.
Exactly.
And if you don't have a partner, that's the type of partner you attract.
Yes.
So you need to learn how to basically touch yourself. And we're not talking about masturbation. I mean, that includes that, but we're talking about just everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Treating yourself like a piece of art. Treating yourself like this amazing flower. Whatever that is. You know, that celebration. Yes. He's going to say, like, wow, like, you know, even outside of the bedroom, you know, the way that you're eating, you know, or the way that you're embodying yourself, he's going to want to be like, that's magnetic presence. And he's going to want to be around you. Like, what is she doing? She's enjoying herself. I want to be around her.
Absolutely.
And then maybe one part of you is like, you know, and if you're kissing this type of
woman, I'd be like, what does she put on her skin? I want to try some of that. So I go in a bubble bath, put all, I'm just kidding.
Or maybe that same woman would invite you to her bubble bath.
Yeah, that's even better.
Right?
All right. So we have a question here. Let's answer, and actually this is getting a little loud here. Hold on. I want to make sure we're not distorted. We're starting to laugh here. We're having so much fun. All right. So there's a question here. Where's that? Oh, I want my boyfriend to be more of a man. It seems as though that when we argue, I am more attracted to him. Am I crazy, Dr. Ray? So you want to answer that one first, and then I will take a crack at it?
You can go first.
Okay. So what I recognize with the feminine is that a lot of times that their lovers are not present. In other words, that when maybe there's some tension where maybe he's upset, he's also expressing himself finally. And in addition to that is a lot of men, they become very complacent. So in a relationship, if things become a routine and there's no hassle involved, men will be very happy with that. They'll just get caught up in that routine. Whereas with women, they want things to change. So I'm not sure the degree of like what you're arguing about, but if it's creating some movement and some shift in your body, in addition to that, if it's the only time that you're able to connect to him on an emotional level, then of course, maybe that's why you have more of an attraction toward him. And in addition to that, if your man is maybe more of a wimp, or you don't feel as though he stands up for himself, except when you argue, that might be the attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do know if a woman is able to walk all over her man, that she resents him. So it's very important for him to hold his own, because then that's the type of man that she could trust.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I definitely agree with you, and absolutely working with my clients. That is when maybe even like the polarity comes in.
mm-hmm.
So and if it is mundane, or if he's not stepping up, like that's where
Mm-hmm.
when they argue, she can feel like more of his,
Mm-hmm.
he's putting her in check a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
or that masculine energy that so she can, comes up so she can surrender more into her feminine, and that's where the polarity or the tension comes in, and that's where the sexual attraction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where she's able to feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not something I teach, but I've come across this, and maybe I'm helping out women who are out there in the dating world. One of the things they teach in some of the pickup artists classes, because I've heard this from prior clients, male clients, is that one of the reasons why that they will tell a woman something a little bit negative, it's like halfway a compliment, it's a little bit of something negative, is because they'll create some emotional response in her.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, most men, they'll say something very generic. Whereas if you're a man and you say something that's a little bit like out there and it triggers a woman, she's going to be curious, like, what the hell is that about?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of crazy that they're using that in these pickup artist type of classes. But I guess they've found out that women are connected to emotions, and that they're trying to use that as an advantage point. So if a guy out there, ladies, says something like, I guess it's kind of a comment, it's a backhanded compliment, move on.
Exactly, move on,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And a guy who doesn't have high self-esteem is going to use that.
Absolutely.
And he's going to attract a woman who doesn't have high self-esteem.
Yeah.
Definitely, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself.
Yes.
Treat your body like a temple.
So we're going to move to the next topic, and that is, do you feel ashamed and not safe expressing your authentic, raw, sensual, feminine nature? You like that?
I think we answered some of that earlier. I think it's just the programming of either being the Madonna or the whore.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, from my own personal experience, is either having shame connecting to your body, not loving yourself, and having these conflicted ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those ideas, like we said, stores in your own, your sexual center,
Mm-hmm.
and that is right below, your belly, all the way down into your vagina. And when you do hold on to any of these emotions, it definitely affects, how you make love, how you walk in the world, how you connect
Mm-hmm.
to your lover.
Mm-hmm. What I like to do actually too is I mentioned how your sexuality is not always connected to your genitals. And you mind if I do a little guided imagery here?
Sure.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is invite you ladies, and maybe there's men watching this also, is I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to breathe and feel the air going all the way down. And exhale, feel it coming up your spine. And I want you to just imagine seeing children playing. And as you see them playing, maybe on a swing, on a monkey bar, going down a slide, they have so much energy, so much joy in them. They're not thinking about time. They're not even thinking about, oh, I did this yesterday. They're in the moment. They're in the now. So just imagine yourself just watching these children play and being really free, not having any time constraints, not jaded about yesterday, but really connected to the flow of their essence. And imagine yourself playing with them as a child also. And that in that moment there's no responsibilities. There's nothing on your mind but just that moment, that play. And just notice as I invite you to experience that maybe that little joy you feel, that little spark, Just breathe into that spark and bring it in your body. Bring it to your pelvic region, bring it to your heart, and just really take that in your body and just move it around.
Mm.
And now slowly just open your eyes. So that is a demonstration also just to connect you to your chi, to connect you to your sensuality. They're all related.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
So keep in mind, I mean, even in meditation, there's a possible chance that a woman can actually get excited because the chi is moving through her body because there's no longer any blocks.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of women have claimed that, you know, in their awakening, their Kundalini awakening, they also felt extreme sexual energy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's why they call it sacred sexuality, because it's an experience connected to the divine self, but also your true sensual nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's see if we have any more questions here. I can't let go of my past relationships, but I really want to move on. You want to answer that one?
Sure. Okay. So let's see, if you've had a heartbreak, you can't move on to a relationship. You know, the past affects the present. So you have a belief, or you have trauma, or you have pain, you know, that you're carrying in your heart or your womb. And basically, in order to heal that is, you know, to go through a process of releasing that, but it's really about loving. You know, the main thing is about love, is that when you're in love, when you open up your heart to love and that you know that you're protected and you're supported and you're in that space of love, then you can heal anything. Mm-hmm. So if that emotion comes up, it's meaning that there's a block, that you're carrying this block, and really what it needs is love, and it takes this relationship, you know, either the new relationship will reoccur, or, you know, it's that message of that real relationship reoccurring, or your guidance telling you, what can love, you know, how can love heal in this moment? So when love is present, that's where the block can be released.
Yeah, in other words, you're saying is that when a woman, or both men and women, but is when you're connected to the expression of love itself. Mm-hmm. I mean, would you agree that more than often that women only feel that love when they're in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, in other words, maybe there's a possible chance the reason why that a woman is still connected to the past, that's the only time that maybe she felt that. Mm-hmm. I think that's the reason why a lot of times women have difficulty letting go of relationships, because it's maybe the first time, maybe the only time they've actually had that experience.
Of feeling love, yes.
Yeah, but with the work you do and what I do also, it's being able to connect you to that without a person.
Exactly.
Without a person. And just imagine what type of partner you would be as far as being able to have that already when you meet someone, and how much more attractive that will make you be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you are, you know, if you are carrying that knot in your body, and you help release it with love, your sexuality can open up as well. Yeah. You know, that ability to play and have fun, and when you're in that place of joy, someone's going to be attracted to you. That's magnetic.
So for you, I mean, as a woman, and you have so many mixed messages on how you're supposed to look, I mean, was there a point that when you were ashamed of your body, that you would hide your body, that you go on diets and everything else?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
I think being a woman, because there's so many mixed messages of, we're constantly bombarded with that. Mm-hmm. So I grew up, and, you know, my own family members would tell me that, you know, not to accept my body, that I needed plastic surgery, actually. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was like, in addition to everything else, like I was rejecting my own body. And then, you know, was learning how to love it and overcoming that. But then there's constantly messages from the media. Mm-hmm. I need to look a certain way, and in order to be happy, or if you have to look, you know, all the diet pills and all the advertisements, hey, have a flat stomach. So I'm, you know, even though...
Did you notice yourself maybe even sabotaging relationships because you didn't feel safe with yourself? In other words, like, a lot of times I think women say they want to feel safe with a man, but yet they show up to a relationship not feeling safe with themselves.
Exactly.
They're afraid that they're going to be rejected, therefore they actually reject themselves in that moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. I think that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, women rejecting themselves. I mean, rejection, I've gone through that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rejecting myself. Because it's scary. It's like to be open and to be vulnerable. I mean, there's so much pressure for women to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure. So that one is going to hold a woman back from really being her potential and opening up,
What are some things that you did, like as far as becoming comfortable with your body?
I studied with people, took classes.
Can you give an example? You don't have to do it here, but maybe just kind of demonstrate maybe what it is that you would do. Give a visual. Was it kind of play? Was it body movement, breathing? What was it?
I think it was a combination of everything. Like all the different textures of being a woman, because playing is a big one, and movement was another one. Even the simple thing of looking at myself in the mirror and just appreciating myself without judgment. Just being there in front of the mirror, no judgment, and just opening up my heart. And having that reflection is a really powerful one for me. And then if I need to, it's like going into doing some of the things, like breathing in front of the mirror, dancing, playing. And another one is, being around other women who are really supporting you and doing the same thing, so that all the women together, to have that non-competitive energy of women beside you is also really amazing. So really, anchoring that into yourself first, like the simple practice of just opening up my heart, being in front of the mirror, and celebrating my body, even like closing my eyes at times, just like feeling, breathing in my own self-love, moving in my own body.
Are you here right now? Or are you in the world right now? I'm gonna plug her name, Eva Clay. She has a sacred dance she has on Thursday nights in Santa Monica, and that is something that they do there, and that is where it's music, it's guided, and it's very dynamic, where it'll be slower, and then there'll be times where you're just moving, but it's just free form dance, and that's all it is, and it's very inviting and very open, and all kinds of different people show up. I think it's just so important for women to be able to do that. I think it's important for men also, but I'm specifically talking about with women, especially if a woman is taking care of children, or if she has a career where she's working a lot of hours. They start feeling, you can feel the tension by just looking at them. They just feel so stuck in their bodies. So of course that it's going to diminish their attraction to themselves and to their partner. Yeah. Have you ever found yourself being in work mode and feeling like, oh my God, I'm becoming a bitch?
Yes.
that happened about a couple hours ago. Yeah. So yeah, I think she gets too serious sometimes. All right. But anyway. All right. Is she like it? Is she like it tickle me? But yeah, I think it's just, and I think for a man, I'm speaking for myself. If a woman is far more serious than I am, then it's only a couple things that happen. It's either I have to become more the feminine person, the more playful person, or it's just there's not a whole lot of energy going on. And I think that for the most part, men will work really hard, and so when they come back to the hut, they kind of want to be able to experience something new, to feel that inviting feminine energy. In other words, that happens when I come home to see my parents. My mother is the epitome of feminine energy, and she's playful, and she's into her arts and craft, and I just enjoy that. I just really love that. My father has his own things that he does that are his rituals that I can see as being more masculine, and that's what has kept them both alive. And also it soothes my father's heart. My dad's can be a real hard ass, but when he's around my mother, it just melts him. I think that we complement each other. Yes. What do you laugh about? Okay.
I have a tip
All right.
about play.
All right.
You know, if you're dating someone, something that's worked for me is playing hide and go seek.
Oh, that is awesome.
Hide and go seek, you know, he's in the other room, go and hide. You know, just pretend you're going to be using the restroom or do whatever, or if he needs to go do something, go hide. And then for him being like the masculine, like, you know, hunting the woman, and like he finds you and like you start laughing, it's so much fun.
Okay. All right.
Do you like it?
Yeah,
Hide and go seek?
yeah, unless you're like in a studio apartment. You have to be a little more creative or something. But cool. So let's. It's 7:36 here. Let's give some maybe some last some tips for some people also. I want to read. Let me see what I have here. Well, actually, we covered that one. Oh, let's talk more about connecting to your primal self to experience more expansive, intimate lovemaking. Now, we've already shared some of this also, but what do you consider your primal self, and whereas maybe your more conscious, awakened self?
I consider my primal self just raw and free.
Okay.
And just that free, you know, not caring about whatever other people are thinking, being connected to my body, being able to say the things that I want to, express the way that I want to, and just me being you know, really letting go. That's how I would see that primal energy. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And did you at first feel as though that primal energy was connected to maybe your more slutty self, or that you had to refine yourself to be something else? I mean, how did you connect to both? Because I know some people have really extreme primal genital sex, whereas there's some people, you know, they're trying to I don't know if it's really tantra, but they're trying to have this type of spiritual sex. Let's just look at each other in the eyes and breathe. I mean, where a guy has complained. I had a client complain once before, a female client. He's on top of me, and I just want him to do me. He just puts his hand on my heart like he's doing Reiki on me. He's like, oh my God, dude, really, just come do me. And she was into the tantra stuff, but she's thinking, you know what, let's experience it both, in this really heated, passionate moment. He's like, oh, let me just do some Reiki on you. It just wasn't working for her.
And that's why she probably started an argument with him. That's where she
So connected to your primal self is able to connect to that very animalistic part of yourself. In fact, some of these workshops, they'll try to invite participants to actually growl and make noises like an animal. It's just to connect to that raw part of yourself, but also consciously, so it's connected to your divine self, that spiritual part of yourself. So you when you have experiences in communication or lovemaking, it embodies all those rich colors. So that's what we're talking about, connected to your primal self and your God self, or whatever you want to call it.
And I can share something. Variety is the spice of life. So when you're able to tap into that primal raw, you know, part of yourself, and play and even breathe, or bring in different things into your love life, the more that you can bring in the play and the variety, you're going to have a lot more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's answer one more question. You see here. Which one do you want to? All right, I'll answer. How about this one? I do not feel I connect to my body. I feel like I control things all the time, especially with men. I do not think I'm able to orgasm with a man because of this.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, for that one, a lot of the times for women, when they're disconnected from their body, is that they don't want to feel emotions from the past, so they get up into this part. You know, and they will either overwork, or they will constantly do as opposed to be. And so they're stuck up in here in their heads, and they're trying to control things, and like they become rigid. And that actually disconnects you from your sensuality, your core, right over here, what we were talking about. And when you're disconnected from your core, how can you have orgasms? Because being open down here and really opening up and being free in this area and being able to release and let go, being open, is what produces the orgasms. There's that state of bliss.
And there's also a biological response that also, you need blood flow in this area for that to happen. And also, orgasms is basically, it's a contraction of muscles tightening up and letting go. Tightening up and letting go. And if you don't have that type of freedom in that part of your body, of course, you're not going to be able to do that with a man.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And then you also need to have the blood flow there. And that's why even with men, this has happened to me. Oh my God. Okay. I'm really sensitive in that area, so I seem to share like my personal life. Well, sometimes women want to talk dirty, and that's to turn a man on or turn me on. And I've had an experience where a woman asked me a question, and it wasn't like, so you like it? It wasn't like, it didn't sound like a question to where it was a fantasy. It's almost like, gee, Bob, what do you think about, the Lakers? Or it was some question, and just within about like 1 minute, I went flaccid. I mean, all my blood went from here to here. Like, I'm like, is that really a question? What are you asking me for? Why did you ask me that? And I just went completely limp. So it's obvious with a man, like when they're somewhere else, like it just goes down. There's no faking it. Whereas for a woman, it's not obvious, except if they're not able to get wet or have an orgasm. So just very important to remember, you want blood flow in that area.
I think it definitely could be a little obvious because she's not going to be as she's not going to produce the fluids. Like she's not going to be wet and juicy and lubricated if she's disconnected.
But it doesn't beat this thing. But if
she's tight down there and there's like no opening, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate you coming out and watching this live broadcast with us. Let's actually give some information so they can reach us. What is your website?
Absolutely. So my website is AntoinetteCabral.com. ANTOINETTECABRAL.com. And I'd love to give 5 of you a complimentary session with me, and I'd love to give you.
What does that
tips.
mean? Like how? Like a phone
call? Like a phone conversation,
okay.
Skype session. So you get a session with me, and we can look at your own unique love-making sensuality or dating situation. Love to give you some tips and tools to help you open up to your feminine sensuality. Love to do that for you. So you can email me at info@AntoinetteCabral.com, and love to connect to you.
Cool. And actually, if you would like to get a free meditation from me, go to raydoktor.com, raydoktor.com, and actually just put in your email, and you'll get this email back, and you can watch this meditation video, and it's a very powerful technique type of meditation to resolve stress in your life. Would you like to give anything else here? I have a poem I want to read here.
Sure, I'd love to hear your poem.
Okay.
No, I want to hear you read it.
Oh, you want to hear me?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Okay. So the way that this poem kind of ties into this workshop is it basically talks about a challenge and being able to move through it. And this is from Portia Nelson. I think it's a very cute, beautiful poem, and we thank you again for being on this webinar. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I can get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I'll walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. So, what I'd like to share with you is that basically, regardless of whatever challenge you're going through in a relationship, work, whatever, that once you connect to that playful part of yourself, once you connect to your heart, that you find ways to move through things and that you take a different street. And there's nothing you can't get through. So we want to thank all of you for joining us. I'm Dr. Ray.
I'm Antoinette Cabral.
Thank you very much.
Have a beautiful night. Mwah.